My first memory of Vince was a VHS tape that somebody had lent us, and it was these American country music videos. And a lot of it I was fast forwarding through, just wasn't into it, and then this video came on with this guy playing a Blackguard Telecaster at a party, and he was playing Liza Jane, and the sound of his Telecaster, I could have swore he had a B-bender, which I figured out years later he didn't. But him playing that guitar, playing that song with that sound, I was like, who is this Vince Gill guy? I gotta find some of his records,
Was this in Australia?
Yeah, this was in Australia, and I was probably 10 or 11 years old, I think. Maybe 12. And then my mum was a huge fan of Vince, so, within a couple of months, she had figured out where to find some records, and she went and bought I Still Believe in You, and maybe another one, and then I was off to the races, I was trying to figure out his solos, and, I couldn't sing that high. So I had to, if I wanted to sing one of his songs, I had to figure out how to do it in another key and all of that. But I learned a whole other thing because of that, which, transposing his guitar parts to different keys and things like that, which kind of set me on another path too. But I also figured out he was writing his own songs. It's one of the first guys I saw that he had his name under each song, Other than some other things, that he had cut a Guy Clark's and Rodney. But I started to see these names pop up, under the songs, like Guy Clark or Rodney Crowell, and then I would find a Rodney Crowell record, or Emmylou Harris sang the backgrounds on this Vince Gill song, and then I would figure out, all these things were connected. What blew me away about Vince was he could write his own song, he could sing the hell out of it, and he could play his own guitar solos. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do, because I love playing Telecaster. I was obsessed with Telecasters, and I wanted to figure out how to write songs and sing my own songs and play my own guitar solos. And he's the first guy I saw do that. I first met him, here's what happened. I moved to Nashville, I got signed to MCA Records, and Vince was on MCA. He was getting ready for a tour, and he was playing the Exit Inn 3 nights. And people were coming and sitting in, and so I got invited to come down to the club and sit in with Vince.
Were you intimidated?
Oh, I was terrified. I mean, he had, Willie Weeks playing bass, and J.D. Mayness was playing steel at that point. And this big band, Becca Bramlett and Tom Britt, and just all these amazing musicians. So I went and sat in. I think it went okay. I don't really remember what it was, but I do remember we played one song, and I was so excited that I wanted to play another one, and Willie Weeks was standing there, and he was like, he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go. I didn't get the cue that you play one song and then you get out of there, I was like, well, what else are we going to do? He was laughing, and so I got out of there. I think I was 20. Yeah, 20 or 21, I think. Because I was playing with Patty at that time. I just finished with Patty. And then we met again when I did this industry sort of luncheon thing for the launch of my record. And we played Luxury Liner together, which was really cool. I was always so nervous around him, I wasn't around him a whole lot back then, but the few little times that I was, I was just Vince Gill,
Did he try to set you at ease at all? Or?
Oh yeah, he was always so sweet and cool, so cool. But yeah, it took me a few years to get over that, sort of intimidation thing, So what happened was, my wife and I had moved back to Nashville and from LA, because I was all that time, when I was touring with Rodney and Emmylou, I was living in LA, and we moved back here, and my friend Tom Bukovac had gotten the call to go out with Joe Walsh, and he had been touring with Vince, and he said, man, just call Jedd. He was like, he just moved back to town. If you're cool with me going out with Joe, I mean, Jedd he knows all your songs anyway, And so Vince was like, okay, great. So he called me, and Tom went out with Joe, and I jumped in with Vince. And I'll never forget it because I knew all his songs. I knew all his records. Like, I really did. Like, I remembered so much of that stuff from when I was a kid. So I knew his music, and he was like, okay, great. Well, the first gig is June, whatever and ever, and just, hop on the bus and come out. And I was like, whoa, are we going to rehearse? Or like, we're going to work this stuff up? No, you'll be okay. So we didn't even rehearse. And, I got off the bus and sound check, and, Paul Franklin's sitting in front of me, and he's looking around at me, and he's like, this is going to be great. And, I'm shitting myself. And that was it. I mean, we just started and played the show and went great, and,
Were you reading charts or anything?
No, I didn't have any charts. Yeah.
Just laying back until you felt it and jump in?
Yeah, I was just watching him, I still do that, just go from those cues, if he's throwing solos around or whatever. But yeah, I just, knew a lot, or if not all of that music.
There has to have been an excitement to that comes to the music when you are in that situation. As long as you come through with it, I think that probably brings a lot of excitement to the music.
I think so too. I think there's an energy in that sort of, nervous, instinctual thing. I think everybody probably feeds off of that.
And maybe Vince knew that
in some way. Yeah,
some of that.
He might have. Yeah. He's a pretty clever fella. He's smarter than what he lets on, I think.
Been up and down the road a couple times.
Yeah. Well, one thing I love about touring with Vince is we get to play a lot, because he loves to play. So, everything's pretty chill in the morning, and really we don't fire up until around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But sound check's always long because he loves to play, and we all love to play, and so, we get to play a good hour and a half some days, sound check, eat some food, have some dinner, and then, play the show. And it's always, we rehearsed 45 songs this week for this Ryman residency we're doing. He loves to play, Yeah, we're doing a 4-night residency at the Ryman this month, August 1 through 4, which, Vince has been out with the Eagles, so, I think he's really been looking forward to playing his own music and, cutting up with us. It's a big band. Vince loves to eat, laugh, and play guitar. I don't think he'd mind me saying that. And I think, all of us knuckleheads are that way, It's like, it's so fun when you get a good crew and the right personalities of people out there. And, it's like, geez, we get paid to do this, It's like all we do is laugh all day and eat and play guitar and play music and have a great time. That's the dream. So this week it's a big band. It's Eddie Dunlap playing steel, Tom Bukovac and I playing electric guitars, Jimmy Lee Sloas playing bass, Billy Thomas playing drums, John Jarvis playing keys, Tony Harrell playing organ, B3, Jack Sinclair playing acoustic, Jeff White playing acoustic and singing, Wendy Moten singing, and Andrea Zahn playing fiddle and singing. Yeah.
That's a hell of a band.
Yeah. there's a lot of noise, of good noise, and there's an insane amount of listening that happens, at that level. I feel like self-mixing and listening to everything that's going on. It's like, it's such a high level of musicianship.
What advice would you give to someone watching this who might get into a situation where they're playing with that many other players, like a guitar player? I'm guessing you lay back a lot to not choke things up.
Yeah. Well, I'm very intentional with anything I do because I'm listening to everything that's going on and where people are feeling or where they're instinctually going. I'm trying not to muddy the waters with what I'm doing chordally or rhythmically. It's just intense listening to contribute something that's adds to the picture and doesn't, like you say, muddy the water. It's like that's what's key in that situation. One of my favorite things about Vince is, and it's a common thread with all of these people that I've gotten to collaborate with, be it Emmylou or Rodney or anybody, records that I'm proud of that I've played on. His passion for music is at such a high level. Like every night on the bus after the show, we'd be hanging out, telling stories, laughing, and then he would put the Opry on, and we would listen to the Grand Ole Opry all the time. Or he would, we'd be talking about something, a great old recording, and it would spark something in his memory, and he would DJ on the bus and play us all this old music, things that were in the cracks that none of us had really heard and listened to, and he would turn us on to these obscure hits from way back, and I just love that, at that level that somebody like Vince Gill is at. He still gets as excited about music as obviously when he was a kid. Like it just doesn't stop. And it's so cool. I think, we all kind of get off on turning people onto music that we love and seeing them get it and the excitement from it, And I love that. I love being in that, sitting up in the front lounge and listening to, discovering something that you hadn't or wouldn't normally find on your own that he's found. Or, or just him listening to the Opry and us hearing, someone have a great night, or whatever. It's like...
he has to have a bunch of stories about meeting the greats back then.
Oh, he's got so many great stories. I mean, George Jones stories, Mel Tillis, just all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's fascinating, man. It's fascinating, and it's so amazing to get like his perspective on that kind of stuff, like it's so inside the thing that it's, the hilarity of some of it is like, you just wouldn't know unless you were, sitting up in the front lounge with him at 1 a.m. It's like, are you ever going to go to bed? He's always the last one to go to bed, because he's up listening or whatever, it's crazy.